How's everybody doing? As some of you may know by now, my name is Dell Robinson, and this is Dell for Dads. This podcast is for predominantly dads that are going through alienation, going through custody disputes, dads that don't know that their rights are being violated if they are being violated. It's for the equal rights for dads to be parents in their children's lives. This is episode 3, and I do want to kind of go a little bit backwards, a little bit forwards, stay in the present with this episode. I do know that last time we got to talk about a little bit what's happening with my life in particular, as far as the Superior Court and my opinion on how the courts maneuver my particular situation, and mine and my constitutional rights, along with my children's constitutional rights, were violated. On this episode, I do want to dive a little bit more into that, along with possibly fixing some of the wording and how it may be portrayed for future allegations against me, anything that just might not benefit my kids in the situation that we're currently in. I am going to talk about things that have happened since the last episode. I do want to talk about things going on moving forward, and what this podcast is going to look like for the time being, until we get more into a space where we can kind of go deeper, I suppose. So last episode, I spoke on my current order between myself for my children and their mother. In the beginning, I want to say probably even the first 2.5 minutes, I spoke on the courts not really being in for the best interests of the children, although it does state in their statutes that they should, or they do. It's not the courts. They're just like in police departments, just like in schools, just like in life in general. There are both good and bad, right? So let me go ahead and go back a little bit on what's happening now. Okay, so the current standing of my situation, still currently trying to be alienated out of my children's lives from their mother. And again, I wanted to utilize videos with evidence backing what I'm saying in these podcasts up. Right now, I'm kind of navigating through some things. So let me back that up a little bit even more, and kind of present wise as well. And when I say we, my team, my family's collective team of support, we've decided to go ahead and start a GoFundMe. As sure as many of you may have known or are figuring out, could just assume, may know that the court process is not a cheap, inexpensive, whatever adjective we want to kind of describe the financial burden going through the court system can be. So I called upon my community. We decided that doing a GoFundMe, explaining without going into too much detail, or even really putting what we've worked so hard for just to get where we are right now, being able to be seen for an appeal. We have to tiptoe. There's a lot of video evidence that's out there already from other parents, fathers that have tried to, and maybe they just didn't go the right route, but they tried to speak their mind. And because of this, it was used against them. And that's exactly what we're not trying to do, right? My opinion is strictly my own opinion. I cannot speak on behalf of anybody else, right? So with that being said, there is a GoFundMe. You can find it on my own personal Facebook page. I believe I can put a link in here. I will try to do that as far as like the video portion of this podcast goes. I will also put a link to this podcast's description for a link to find that GoFundMe. And just sharing it would be more help than you could ever imagine. Even though, yes, the funds definitely help. That's the whole point of it, right? Spreading the message is more important to me right now, because one way or the other, I will figure out financials. Thankfully, I have an amazing lawyer, and I'm here to say that, not just like we were talking about before, that not all lawyers are ingrained in the system so deeply that it becomes this play where everybody has their part, because it's already like that. Everybody does have their part, and they're supposed to be playing that part as far as what is written out. Sometimes that doesn't always happen, right? So there is GoFundMe, and this is kind of where this episode plays a very strange part in all of this, because this episode will be the first episode of not strictly just about my particular case, and starts kind of trailing onto other people's stories, right? And from there, we kind of go backwards back into my particular case. And the reason for that, again, is strictly just to, I guess, play by the rules that are there, right? I don't need a muzzle order put against me. I don't need any type of questioning of, is this slander because he's talking about it? Nothing that I'm talking or speaking about is false, right? I showed you in our last episode, if you watched the video, you saw the order. Nothing that I was talking about that order was false. There's evidence to back that up. As far as releasing audio transcript, as far as releasing written transcript on that particular case, on my particular case that has just passed that we are appealing, I cannot release that yet. Is there a chance that I will not release it ever? There is that small chance, because I don't know how long this case will go, because we are in appeal. We are just waiting for a date, right? And I don't need any extra false fuel that they'll take and twist of any of these videos around just to kind of defeat all that we've been fighting for, to right the injustice, And it's not a small injustice by any means, right? But there's a particular way that the game must be played, and we're just rolling with the punches, as they say. So going back again, now we're going to go back to present, how things have been since the last episode, and things have been worse, right? Again, just like I guess I said in the first video, I honestly thought we were going into court with 50-50. Found out morning of that was not the case, and then find out that my children are potentially being moved to a different state with someone they barely know. We just finished April vacation and Easter. I'm pretty sure you saw in that order. I'm not going to pull all that stuff up and let you guys read it all over again. That is in the last video. If you would like to go back and look at all that, more than welcome to. In the order, it does tell you who goes with holidays and all this other stuff. Essentially, you are being told how the rest of their lives until they turn 18 should pan out, unless the families decide to go back to court to adjust, modify that order. So worse is how it's been. Knowing that I was getting ready to not see my children for 3 weeks, I decided that it was time, right? It was time for me to go ahead and face the crowd. From the order until a couple of weeks ago, I had not showed up for pickups and drop-offs, mostly because I didn't want to see my children's mom. Once I figured that the routine that they were always in with her continued, I decided that, okay, I can time this out where I can still see my kids in the morning and kind of just avoid her. Since that plan, we've had to adjust that plan. I guess we'll go into that in a second. With that plan in place, my thought was, okay, I can see them, avoid her. They know that, even though they're going to not see me for a longer period than they're used to. Mind you, this is the longest I had ever gone without seeing any of my kids, minus my daughter. Again, because for her first full year, I maybe and maybe not got to see her on a day-to-day basis. Well, I got to see the boy. Day one of me going, okay, we're going to go see the kids, and I'm going to see the kids in the morning. And I bring my wife with me, mostly one, to have an eyewitness, although we know that it doesn't stand a whole lot of weight. It doesn't hold a whole lot of weight as far as like biasness, but we also utilize video recording, and that is kind of why she's also there, not just as an eyewitness, but to be able to have that capability of being able to show the truth without anybody kind of saying, nope, this is what happened on my side, this is what happened on my side. So when I show up on day one, it was for pickup because school was over, because I knew that my youngest was picked up last, that I would just show up there, and as she went to go pick up my daughter, I would be able to say hi to the boys real quick, and then, figured she would just let my daughter run over real quick, say hi, and then go about her day. I get there, she goes in, leaves the boys in the car, unattended. I get out of my car, I walk over, and my middle child gets out of his car seat. He then opens the door because he's excited to see me. He opens the door, gets out of the vehicle, and starts hugging me, and he's, again, excited to see me. My oldest, at that point, doesn't see his mom, is like, okay, my dad's here, probably can get out. He gets out. I believe that day I either brought them like Mott's gummies or a ring pop or something. They run to the front of the car and go to the gate where their mom, because they at that point could hear their mom, I think, talking, and she does this loud audible gasp. I can imagine it was because she thought they had just gotten out of the car, and she was like, how'd you guys get out of the car? How long have you been out of the car? What are you doing out of the car? When she realizes that I'm standing there, she then plays like, oh, okay, like you're here, right? I do get to see my daughter that day, and I again believe this was theatrics, okay? And I apologize because day one was actually semi okay, because it was I believe it was the next day. And I could even be getting that one wrong, to be quite honest with you, just because these next two really trumped how any of this could have gone. I do know that in one of the days, and I do believe it was the very first day, everything was fine. It was a quick encounter, me saying hi, saying bye, asking how their days went, told them I love them, and then that was it. I was gone. It was the morning. It was one of the mornings. I think this was the first morning where it really kind of bubbled up, where I show up morning of, and my daughter's already dropped off at daycare, which is across the street from where my boys go to school. So I get out of the car because I figured I, again, could just say hi to them on their very, very short walk or on the sidewalk into the school grounds. Could say hi and wish them a good day, and let them just know that they're loved, and this, their dad is here. I'm going to always be here. Instead turns into their mother pretending, and there's this huge emergency, like they were about to be taken or something. She picks up my 4-year-old and is holding him and kind of tries to just barrage them right past me. So that way they can't say hi, can't give me a hug. I want no type of communication with their mom. Like I'm purposefully not making eye contact with her, looking at them, letting them know that I am literally here for them. Before that, she purposely waited in the vehicle just so there was maybe this much time where I'd be able to say hi. Nonetheless, she gets out of the car and starts like walking around like there's a dog chasing her, like a pit bull, Rottweiler, German Shepherd type dog, kind of just like off leash coming after her. And it was crazy to watch, because knowing that the people she was playing this out to know me, they've seen me interact with not just my own children, with other people's children. And then some of those parents that were also there have also brought their own children to me, because of the services that I provide. I'm a body piercer, and we don't live in a very large place. So we live in a place where kind of everyone knows everyone, right? A lot of this, I think, was just so amazing to me, because a lot of these parents didn't even know this was happening until these things started happening. It was not needed, right? For any other reason other than trying to portray someone for what they are. She didn't get the rise that I think she was hoping out of me by doing this. I said hi to my oldest because I got the chance to, and I had to walk away. Then the pickup is where it really got wild, because I wasn't able to say hi to my middle child, really. I decided to show up for pickup. And again, went to pick up at my daughter's daycare, because I knew that all three of them were there. And in my mind, I figured, okay, if you're just going to leave them in the vehicle, no harm in me being there to say hi. Did not happen this way. Instead, this time she decided to take the boys out of the vehicle, and instead of just again letting them come say hi to me, turns my oldest and starts pushing him to walk away. And I'm not going to act like it was like an aggressive push, just kind of like shuffle him along kind of deal. I don't want this to be portrayed for anything that it's not. So she shuffles the oldest along, while now my middle child is visibly distraught, knowing that I'm there and just wanting to come say hi and give me a hug. Video proof of that, and I will release that. And there was crying, and once they got around the corner where he couldn't see me, he got louder, right? At this point, my kid's mother I don't think she didn't realize that my daughter was actually out on the play area outside with the rest of her class. She went inside, ended up grabbing the bag, coming outside of the school. She goes onto the play area and really turns on the waterworks here. At this point, the daycare supervisor of some sort, I'm not really entirely sure of her position off the top of my head, does interfere now, right? At first, it was kind of like a concern, which is great. Having a concern, great, because now I know that my child should be protected in that situation. If anybody comes and tries to like do anything erratic, right? I then start seeing this lady hugging my kid's mom, and I kind of figured at this point, maybe consoling her because there's like children around and you don't really need the hysterics of an adult that's holding a 4-year-old while her 2-year-old's walking, and the 7-year-old's kind of standing there looking confused while their dad. And again, I really don't like to play this card, but when it looks, smells, feels like something, it usually is, right? But you have this crying mother, what seems to be this crying mother, afraid of something, right? And a man, bearded, tattooed, pierced, black, in a predominantly white place. It might bring some concern, it might bring fear. Why? I don't know. Should it? Not in this particular circumstance, because when you know the person, there's no way that this situation should have went the way it did. Shortly after this little crying, consoling situation happens, my kid's mother and my 3 children start walking out back into like a gated area that's right before the play outside area. My 4-year-old is reaching out for me and then goes, "Can I go see dad?" In which his mother tells him, "No, I just want to get in the car and go away. This is so inappropriate." She wasn't wrong. She wasn't wrong. It was very inappropriate. After saying that, I quickly realized that there's scratches all over my daughter's face. And I asked, "What happened to you? What happened to your face?" And her mother turns around, whether she's realizing this is like, wow, this is the first time he's actually seeing this, didn't get to tell him, or whatever. It was the simple fact that she turns around, pretty much grabs my daughter by the hand and kind of just gets out of that area, right? Once she hits the gate, then proceeds to tell me that she will call the police on me and that I'm not allowed to be around her or I'm allowed to be on the property of these places. I'm not allowed to be around her or my children. In which I then ask where she read this or was given this information, which was just met by that she is afraid of me and doesn't like me. That statement alone, I mean, I guess if you said either or, one could definitely be true when you have the other, but it's just in what she's saying, how she's saying it, and where she's saying it that make it a problem. Because she's definitely, entitled to feel the way she wants to feel. She doesn't have to like me. That's why we're not together. But it's not okay to voice those two things, whether you feel they're true or not, in front of the children, where legally you're bound to portray a positive picture for these children. Because these children aren't afraid of me. These children don't not like me. Well, it's true, they don't like me, as Atlas, my middle child, will say. He loves. It's wild that these things can happen, and then in front of other people that pretend, in my opinion, and here we go with this, that they're for the best interest of the children. I was about to leave, but then I really started, I guess, thinking about how that just played out, how that situation just played out. When I started walking away, immediately my mind said, how was that okay? So my next thought was, maybe they don't have an order. So I asked my wife for one of the many orders that we ended up printing out for instances like this that may arise. And I start bringing the order to the supervisor in charge, is what we'll call her. As I approach her, I let her know that I'm bringing her one, and she informs me that she has one already in her desk. So now I'm way more confused at this, because then if you have the order that says that I can literally come and say hi to my children, I'm not really sure why this issue is becoming a thing. Then state that there is nothing in this order that says we cannot be on the, if in fact it says that we are encouraged to participate in both schooling events, after school events. We can be on the same premises and all these other things. And in fact, there is no history of abuse. Right when I finished that sentence, she literally asks me if we're able to be on the same premises, on the same campus, is actually what she asked. I knew that there was zero information on my end that I was giving to this woman that was registering, that was going to benefit my kids in any way. It was she already bought in to a different story. So I turn around. As I turn around, I then see an officer, and I go, "Oh, all right, guess she wasn't kidding. Guess she really was going to call the police." So I approach the fence because I'm getting ready to leave. The officer's introducing himself. We then realized that we have met each other before. And this was because I had processed a no trespass order on my kid's mother. And this was because of others. It was because she was coming into the parlor that I work at and recording, not just me, but recording clients. And although in a public space, it is okay to record, legal to record people with or without their consent. It's the fact that she went into a business while there's business hours being had because of what she felt was not right. And what was happening is that I had to do a very quick service, 15-minute service. I picked up my children, and instead of getting them out of the vehicle, upstairs, make them wait 15 minutes just to go back downstairs, to get back in the car, to go home, my wife took my vehicle and brought them home. And when she kept her vehicle here, and then I was to take that home after I finished up. So 20 minutes. And then it took maybe, we were living someplace different at that point, maybe 8. We'll go on a busy traffic day, 12 minutes for me to get home. So 30 minutes, we'll say, is all I'd be away from when they were picked up from me until I got home. Police were threatened on that one. Thankfully, that did not happen on that occasion, but nonetheless, always being threatened by police. So even though I already knew this police officer, I kind of didn't know. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen in the situation. You don't know what's going to happen in the situation when you're a person that looks like me, right? And that is the reality of it. And I'm not going to sit here and ever pretend like this is not going to happen to me. And even though I am known within my community, it does not mean that that cannot happen to me. Very shortly after kind of speaking to this first officer and explaining to him what was happening, we walk over to my vehicle so I can get him in order. As we approach that vehicle, a second officer is already walking over. So I go, okay, can you get 2 orders for us? So my wife reaches up in the back, grabs 2 orders. As I turn to give 2 orders, third officer is approaching. I spoke to the first officer. He did explain that when dispatch reports certain calls, the officers kind of just show up. Again, hindsight being what it is, I'm thankful that that many officers showed up that quickly in the event that my child had been in danger at that school, right? I will say that the 3 officers that showed up that day were definitely level-headed, understanding, empathetic, compassionate individuals. I think that they were the best humans for the job that was given at that point in time. And I hope that that is how they carry themselves for any call that they have to. And this is coming from a military police officer myself. I was in the Army. I was a police officer. And when you're called to anything, any type of call, doesn't matter if it's a domestic dispute, it doesn't matter if it's any call, you do not know what you're going into. It doesn't matter if there's a cat stuck in the tree, right? To go save that cat coming out of the tree. Anything in that situation can happen, truly, depending on the surroundings of the area, the people involved. There's a lot of unknowns going into a call. They handled it well, and I cannot be thankful enough. And I'm proud to be in a place where I went into a situation and nothing that I personally worry about, and know that other people of likeness would worry about. And it went completely not that way, thankfully. So we talked to the 3 officers. They give us their input as far as what I should do. Told me to go back to modify the order in court. I then explained to them that we had already done that, explained to them that we have an appeal that was granted. Also kind of just waiting, playing the waiting game. But in the meantime, just wanted to see my children because I'm not going to see them for the next 3 weeks. That goes away. Next morning, I show up for pickups again. This time I text her to let her know that I just want to say hi to the kids. Hi, bye, and I'm out of there. I get a response of, I'm in the process of getting a restraining order on you. Please leave me alone during my time. Her time that she's referring to, again, I want to point out, is my daughter being dropped off way earlier than what I imagine she needs to. Again, being because my daughter's daycare is across the street from my boy's school. Okay. While the adult in the vehicle, their mother, is just sitting there on her phone. So when I get on the second day, I stand away from her vehicle and I just stand and I stand and I'm standing pointing facing towards the car. And the reason for this is because I'm recording at this point. I need evidence to show that the alienation is true and it's happening. So I have my oldest waving to me in the back seat, kind of looking, making sure, he's not being seen, I guess. I don't really, it was weird, but we're kind of like high signaling, kind of low key. And my middle child is at first against the window, trying to roll it down, say hi, trying to get out. And his mother says something to him. And he's just now facing this way, right? When it's time, because she's waiting to the very last second, when it's time for my oldest to have to kind of go into the school, she gathers the kids, exits out to the driver's side of the vehicle, comes around to get the kids' bags and everything. My oldest, he gets the bag on and he gets like huddled over by her, right? Now she's getting my middle child ready. She's backpacking him, picks him up and starts walking. And now there's a sidewalk that goes along a fence line to the yard of the school. And there's this rotary kind of roundabout for when they do pick up drop offs with vehicles, and the buses will pull up and drop the kids off, pick them up. And in the morning, it gets kind of busy, gets pretty busy. Again, instead of just one of two things, just get on the sidewalk, let my kids run up to me and say hi real quick. Hope you guys have a good day. I love you. The kisses, and send them off. And that way they got to see both their parents. My dad said hi. We had a great day. We had such a good day. They're now stuck with this scenario. And I do hope that it doesn't last forever, but I hope it sits, right? Because it's true, it happened. And I want them to understand the reality of what really happened and why it shouldn't have happened. And their mother going across a busy roundabout just to avoid their father being able to say hi to them, just touch them, because for 3 weeks he's not going to be able to do that. He might be able to get to say hi to them. Goes across this busy rotary intersection thingy majiggy to dart into the school. Plays the scenario of crying, mom, afraid, and acting erratic. So I approach the principal and I let him know I'm just here to say hi to my kids. I don't understand why this is happening. And he admits that it is getting a little awkward and all these other things. And I tell him I know, I understand. And I hate that you're being put in this position. But you have to understand that I'm just trying to see my kids. And I get that this is becoming a thing. Where I really just wasn't understanding was why I was kind of being the one reprimanded, right? All I did is show up. I'm not crying, I'm not putting on a scene, holding a child, acting like he's about to be kidnapped. I'm not doing anything other than what I've done for the past, few years of my kids attending this school, showing up. So I informed the principal of two things. I am recording, and this is because it's for my best interest in what's happening in this situation. And I am going to say hi to my kid. He gives me the okay. I walk in. I go say hi to my oldest because at this point he's out in the yard. He comes over. I hug him. We talk about what he's getting ready to do and stuff for the April break. And I tell him I love him. I hug him. I ask him if he's good. And his mother comes at this point back into the picture, still holding my middle child. I'm starting to walk away to leave. And my oldest starts walking with me. And his mother, I believe, signals over to him to come over. And I stopped because I didn't want interaction, right? I don't want conversation. I'm just trying to say hi, say bye, and go. So I told my oldest, I'm like, oh man, you're good. You can stay here. Just go back to play. You're about to get in line to go inside. He tells me, okay. He hugs me. He goes, I start walking away. and I have to pass their mom, right? Because she's standing by a teacher playing this I'm afraid victim. As I'm walking by, my middle child's again reaching out and saying, I want you to hug me, Dad. So I pause. I turn and take 2 steps and say, I'm fine with hugging you as long as your mom's okay with it. In which she then plays this whole victim card of, I'm afraid of you. You're not supposed to even, whatever she ends up saying. I say, okay, I leave. I then get a phone call the next morning from the police station asking what's going on. The principal had called. So in the end, they give me this huge rundown. I end up knowing this police officer as well. He ends up having kids that end up going to school with my kids. And so I explained to him exactly what's going on. Again, very empathetic. Kind of tries to give me some, what may help, what may not help kind of guidelines. And I explained to him, I have this kind of under control. Trying to make it happen so that way I don't have to see her. This is my whole point, is I don't need to see her. I just want to see my children. That is it. We end up getting off the phone, and then they go on to April vacation. I then get to talk to them during the April vacation and finding out a few different things, and we're still trying to figure some of those things out. So I don't want to really say it here because I don't know which ones are absolute fact just yet, but more things are coming on down the pipeline. So I want to go back and clarify some of my wording from my previous episode. When I say that I believe it's all court systems as far as the family division goes, of not wanting what's best for the children that are in this. I do heavily, and this one I will stand on, heavily believe that there are individuals that have zero interest in particular people's cases where it's in the best interest for the children. That I will stand on. But as the court as a whole, I can't stand here and say that wholeheartedly yet, mostly because I haven't given the chance for this wrong to be right. So maybe, I will stand on that, seeing how this, future hearing goes. But right now I cannot stand here and say that the court system in whole, and as far as Vermont goes, is not for the best interest of the children. So yeah, I think that was something I needed to put out there, because I don't, again, going back to the beginning of this video, I don't want anybody to be able to say something that it really wasn't. Police are not all bad. The family court system is not all bad. And even though I did hit certain points that stated that I am kind of for the system so long as it's needed, I do firmly believe that within the system, things can be changed so that way families aren't being just ripped apart. Parents and children all have the fair trial of being a family, even if they are separate. So, yeah, with that said, things are getting wild. We're still holding on, holding strong. If you have the opportunity to check out that GoFundMe and you have the ability to donate, that I appreciate y'all so much. That really helps both me, my children, my family, because we put a lot into this so far. A lot has gone into this, both monetarily, just time-wise. The team behind this all, they're amazing people, and I would not be able to do all of this without them and without my community backing, not just me, but my kids. Some of these people have their own kids that go to school with my kids, and they would be they already know some of their kids would be devastated if their friend gets taken away without a real reason, other than someone making that choice for them. And it didn't need to be that way. So my name is Dell. I am Dell for Dads, and I appreciate you guys for taking the time to listen, watch, depending on however you want to do this, and sharing and following. We're not done. We're not going to be done. This is just the tip of the iceberg. If you know anybody that is struggling, please reach out to me. My email should be in the description. If you need to get a hold of me on Facebook, send me a message. Send me a message. My name is Dell Robinson. People call me Dell, but you're more than welcome to reach out. Please, I will try to help as much as I possibly can, or at least point you in the right direction of someone that can help you. You're not alone in this, and we are making our way to make this right. I cannot thank you enough. I hope you all have a greatest night, morning, whatever time you're watching this. Be well.